Hi everyone, a very good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you're joining us from, and also a very happy new year. If you're viewing this video, it means you're either pursuing or considering to pursue PMP certification and are looking for references on how to pass this examination. My name is Gopal, and I recently cleared my PMP examination in 2016. One of the things that I've been constantly asked is how I did this and what was my overall approach for preparing for this tough yet achievable feat. Though there are several videos and references available online, I personally feel that they do not cover the minute details that one needs to be prepared for with this examination. Hence, what I'm sharing today is my experience and overall lessons learned in getting PMP certified and passing this examination. Now, as I mentioned, there are several references available online on how to pass the examination. However, what I have noticed is that the points are rather repetitive and not very specific on how this can actually be achieved. Hence, I'll be trying to share my personal experience in how I prepared and passed the examination. Hopefully, it strikes the right chord and helps you in doing the same. In this presentation, I'll be going through the following key topics and we'll try to keep it as simple as possible. In case of any additional questions, feel free to drop a comment below and I'll be happy to respond to them as best as possible. Firstly, we'll touch base on what is PMP, followed by my approach for passing the PMP, what to expect at the Prometric Center, and lastly a quick summary of the points discussed. Now, PMP, or the Project Management Professional certification, is one of the most important and industry recognized certifications for project managers offered by the Project Management Institute, or PMI. In order to be qualified for taking the PMP examination, there are certain prerequisites that need to be met. These are grouped into two separate sections and you must qualify in one or the other. In the first set, you need to have a secondary degree, that is a high school diploma, an associate's degree or the global equivalent, 7,500 hours of experience in leading and directing projects, and also 35 hours of project management education in the form of PDUs, more of which will be covered soon. Or the other set, that is having a 4-year degree, 4,500 hours of experience in leading and directing projects, and last but not the least, 35 hours of project management education or PDUs. Now, let's look into my approach for passing the PMP examination. First and foremost, know your motivation. If you're anything like me, you would have pushed this exam for quite some time now. So, you need to have a very clear motivation for even starting to prepare for the examination. It could be anything from monetary growth, better career prospects, or personal goal. For me, it was all of the above, and also the fact that I was recently blessed with a baby girl and I wanted to give her and my family a great life. The fact that I knew I wouldn't have enough time once the baby arrives was also a great motivation. So go ahead and find your motivation, because that is definitely going to be the key to your success. Next, just like any other project, it's important to plan ahead of time. Planning on the major activities and setting clear deadlines and goals will help you buckle up and be on schedule. This need not be a very elaborate plan from day one. In fact, Just like a regular project plan, you can elaborate it as you move forward. But it is very helpful when you have set milestone dates beforehand. For reference, I'll provide a link to my plan in the description below so that you can modify the same as per your convenience and your pace. Now, there's several references and sources for study materials out there, but the ones that I used and seemed sufficient were the PMBOK guide for sure, followed by Andy Grove's How to Pass on Your First Try, along with the notes from my classes. There are numerous other references that could help you. However, I felt that these were sufficient for me to understand the basic concepts. As mentioned in the previous slide, irrespective of how good of a PM you are or how much experience you have, you need to gather a total of 35 contact PDUs in order to be eligible for applying for the examination. There are several options for you to gather these PDUs or professional development units, that is either through classroom trainings or even attending online training programs. Each of these have their own pros and cons. I personally had gone for the classroom training option, since doing so helped me stay more committed towards my plan and be on track as well. However, in case you have issues with availability, there are several online training options that you can go ahead and control the overall pace of learning. Once all this is done, a crucial aspect for passing the exam is studying for the actual exam. Some of the folks have a lot of experience as PMs might feel very confident initially for clearing the exam directly, that is, without studying at all. But trust me, you'll be in for a surprise, and that too not a great one. It is highly possible that your understanding of handling different situations as a PM might be quite different from what PMI and PMBOK considers as an ideal practice. The approach I used for my preparation was to study each of my reference materials at least twice and make my own notes as well. In fact, wherever I had trouble understanding any concept, I referred the content available online, including YouTube, and had a great access to amazing material. One such example would be Eisen Bridge, which is a channel on YouTube. Their videos helped me clear a lot of the tricky concepts quite early on during my preparation. Accordingly, I made little notes next to the topics in my books for faster reference. Also, I used at least 2 different highlighters to highlight key points across topics, thus helping me do a revision faster. Bottom line is, as far as PMP exam is concerned, you cannot, as I say, wing it, so don't even think about it. One common suggestion I got from everyone who's passed PMP was to work on my very own brain dump, or as they call it, a cheat sheet. Though I wouldn't say that this was extremely helpful during the exam, I must say that working on this did give me a lot more confidence and also helped me in memorizing a lot of the topics. My personal brain dump was a 3-page document containing 47 processes, the most important ITTOs, and a few common formulas. I'll drop a reference link to my brain dump in the description below. This way you can go ahead and create your own unique brain dump that suits your preference for the exam. Next up, mock exams. Once you have studied all your reference material, do start keeping time aside for giving these mock exams. I personally solved nearly 1500 plus questions, including a few 4-hour rigorous sessions which had 200 questions each. This excludes all the sample questions that I solved which existed behind each chapter in books like the Andy Grove. An important point to note is that I didn't just solve the questions, I studied them. Both the ones that I got wrong and also the ones that I had simply guessed and which turned out to be correct. So do this very carefully, as it is this effort that will give you the much needed confidence for giving the actual exam. And with that, we come towards the final step, and that is giving the actual exam. If you've followed all of the above steps, including giving multiple mock exams, and have started scoring more than 85% in those exams, you can feel confident that you're ready for the actual exam. Do note that there is no defined passing marks given by PMI. It is purely based on the information provided online, and with my very own first-hand experience that says scoring more than 85% is a sure shot way of clearing the PMP exam. And now let's look at what to expect at the Prometric Center. Now, one's experience at a Prometric Center might be different in different regions. The points I'll be sharing now is based on my experience at the Prometric Center. My local Prometric Center was nearly 45 minutes away from my house. Hence, I had to plan beforehand on how I'll be traveling and reaching the venue. Next, the center I scheduled my exam at asked me to reach the venue at least 30 minutes prior to the actual exam. I, being the over careful self, reached there 45 minutes before. So make sure you be there at the venue before time. Once I was there, my identity was first confirmed through my passport and signature. Make sure you check on the accepted ID proofs and carry them with you to the venue. Once my identity was confirmed, I was assigned a locker and asked to proceed to the nearest lab. Over here, I was asked to put all my belongings inside the locker. This includes my watch, mobile, books, pens, papers, etc. They did, however, allow me to keep my water bottle outside the locker, especially in case I would like to take a break and have a quick sip. Do note that one is not allowed to access this locker till the time the exam is completed. I was then asked to proceed to the assigned lab, where I was scanned once again, identification being re-verified. In fact, I was asked to clear my pockets as well. Once this was done, I was handed over a few blank pages along with a few pencils as well. Post which, I was escorted to the assigned system, which already had my name on it and PMP logo. So there was no need to worry about any additional logins over there. Once you're well seated, you're asked to go through a quick tutorial and then followed by the actual examination. Note, this tutorial is going to be quite straightforward, so you might just brush through it quickly with at least 10-15 minutes to spare. So, do not rush to give the actual exam quite yet. Instead, use this time wisely to start working on the brain dump using one of the blank pages provided. Once the time allotted for the tutorial is over, the system will automatically start the exam clock. So, do not get tensed if you haven't completed the brain dump just yet. In fact, this is one of the major reasons why you should be practicing your brain dump during your preparation phase itself. Post this stage, you are good to rock and roll with the exam. One important thing that a lot of people have suggested is to take adequate breaks. Considering this is a 4-hour rigorous exam, it is very important to plan out on how you will use the time wisely. If you time your exam properly, you should be able to breeze through the questions while having at least 15 to 20 minutes for taking the breaks as needed. However, do note that in case you do consider taking a break, you will have to go through an entire security check once again. I personally spent too much time on certain questions, not realizing that I was progressing way too slowly, leading to not having enough time to review the marked questions, let alone taking breaks. So, ensure that you time your progress properly and plan out on how you approach for tackling the questions within the allocated time. Once your exam is over, you will have to go through a series of questions for feedback. If you're anything like me and several of my friends, you would consider to provide the best possible feedback, hoping that the same will have some impact on your results. But trust me, the feedback does not have any effect on the exam's outcome. Once the feedback questions are addressed, you will be shown a screen displaying your results as pass or fail, along with clear ratings on how you did in each process group as proficient, moderately proficient, or below proficient. Once you realize that you've actually passed the exam and are done yelling in your head about, "Hooray, I've passed the exam, woohoo!" you are then asked to step outside to collect your provisional mark sheet. The original certificate will be mailed to you on your address from PMI, which should reach within 4 to 8 weeks. Now, let's summarize some of the important things we've covered to pass the PMP exam. First, look for your motivation. Second, fix out a date for the actual exam and plan backwards. Third, keep your family and friends informed so that they can support you with this goal. Fourth, solve maximum mock tests to solidify your understanding of the PMBOK concepts. Fifth, analyze and review both the wrong and the so-called doubtful questions. Sixth, practice the brain dump sheet regularly. In fact, towards the end of my preparation, I used to spend at least 15 minutes on a daily basis to jot down the brain dump sheet to optimize my time. Seventh, be prepared for the Prometric Center. It could be unnerving for some people. And last but not the least, once you have passed the PMP exam, celebrate this success with your family and friends. Before we end this presentation, I wanted to share a quote by the famous American author Napoleon Hill, which is quite apt for people working towards their PMP certification. Do not wait. The time will never be just right. Start where you stand and work with whatever tools you may have at your command, and better tools will be found as you go along. With that, we come towards the end of my presentation. I hope my experience and this lessons learned session has helped you in getting a better understanding of the overall PMP exam and how one can pass it with flying colors. In case of any other questions, feel free to leave your comments and I'll try to answer them as best as possible. Thanks once again and all the best for your exam. Take care.